Cognizant to the needs of our learners, parents, and teachers, the Department of Education provided us with powerful tools for productivity that will allow us to foster critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills, communication and collaboration skills to be compassionate, responsible global citizens. Join us and discover new ideas in our series of professional development training program with the ICT's Edtech Unit and Microsoft Education Philippines. Together, we will equip our learners and empower our fellow educators for a dynamic future. Para sa bata, para sa bayan, at para sa guro. Sulong Edukalidad.
Magandang araw, Sir Wilbur po, at your service. Narito ang ETUlay upang gabayan ka sa inyong pag-aaral upang lubos na maunawaan ang iba't ibang paksa o subject. Ang ETUlay ay isang free online tutorial class na pinangungunahan ng ICT's Educational Technology Unit sa pamumuno ni Undersecretary Elaine Del B. Pascua. Ang programang ito ay hindi lamang para sa mga bata, kundi ito rin ay magsisilbing gabay sa mga magulang at mga guro kung paano nila ituturo o gagabayan sa bawat asignatura ang kanilang mga anak o mga estudyante. Sa kasalukuyan, ang self-learning module mula sa rehiyon ng Calabarzon at kilala sa tawag na pivot ang ginagamit sa ating ETUlay online class. Kaya ano pang hinihintay ninyo? Ihanda na ang inyong mga ballpen o lapis, papel o kwaderno at samahan kaming itulay ang pagkatuto para sa bawat batang Pilipino. Sama-sama tayong magtutulungan para malampasan ang mga hamon sa panahong ito. Halina't matuto kasama ang inyong online tutor sa oras na ito.
Alright, so magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Good afternoon. At tayo ay magsasama-sama muli ng 40 hanggang 60 minuto para sa ating ETUlay online tutorial for Senior High School Practical Research 2. Muli, ito po ang inyong tutor, si Tutor Ronald. At muli nyo akong samahan sa araw na ito at sa oras na ito upang talakayin ang ating paksa or ang ating topic para sa Practical Research 2 for Week 6. No? At ito ay related or continuation ng ating topic last week, which is about data processing, organizing, and analysis. So, tapos na po tayo sa data organizing or organizing of data. We now go to analysis of data. At yan po ang ating pag-uusapan sa oras na ito for this day, week 6 ng week 4. At mula sa ating most essential learning competencies, ang ating objective para sa ating discussion ay uses statistical techniques to analyze data. Okay? So, gagamit tayo ng iba't ibang statistical techniques to analyze the data that we collected and that we are going to present in our research data. Medyo madugo kung iisipin natin kasi meron tong halong statistics, statistics topic, mula sa inyong statistics and probability. At bago tayo magtungo sa ating talakayan para sa ating topic sa linggong ito, balikan muna natin ang ating pinag-aralan noong nakaraang linggo or noong week 5. At kung yung natatanda na ating discussion noong nakaraang linggo ay tungkol sa presenting data, presenting data in graphical and tabular forms. Ayan. So, bilang pagbabalik-aral, gawin natin ang ating first learning task by completing the statement. Choose the letter of the correct answer to the following items. Ayan, so meron tayong mga taga-subaybay sa Facebook. Ayan, si Iris May Johnson, Tudora Disagon from Subic ES, Elmer Galang Andalion, at si Elizabeth Stulatan Sandoval. So, I encourage our Facebook watchers at sa YouTube to participate in our discussion by typing in your comments, or for this particular activity, type in your answer or the letter of your answer. Okay? Number 1, again, blank use words, statements, or paragraphs with numerals, numbers, or measurements to describe data. So what type of data presentation is described in number 1? Is it A, textual presentations, B, tabular presentations, C, graphical presentations, or D, non-linear presentations? Meron na ba sumagot sa ating kang wala pa? Okay, ang tamang sagot sa ating item number 1 ay ayan, textual presentation. So, textual presentations use words, statements, or paragraphs with numerals, numbers, or measurements to describe data. So, hindi lang words, meron ding numerals or numbers. Pero, very few, very few ang numbers and numerals if you use textual presentations in presenting your data. All right. Next, number 2. Same choices. So, blank present clear and organized data in rows and columns. So, what data presentation technique uses rows and columns? Is it A, textual presentations? Of course, hindi nakasama yan, no? Kasi kanina nasagot na yan. Tabular presentations, graphical presentations, or D, non-linear presentations? Ano nga kaya ang tamang kasagutan or sagot sa ating number 2? Ang tamang sagot ay tabular presentations, no? Tabular presentation. So, if you use tables, of course, meron kang rows and columns, no? Tabular presentation in presenting data in a research study. Next, number 3, same choices. Blank illustrate data using symbols such as lines, dots, bars, or slices. Ayan. So, illustrating data using symbols such as lines, dots, bars, or slices. Ano kayang data presentation technique ang tinutukoy sa number 3? Is it A, textual presentations, B, tabular presentations, C, graphical presentations, or D, linear presentations? At ang tinutukoy sa number 3 ay graphical presentations. Illustrate data using symbols such as lines, dots, bars, or slices. No? Speaking of the symbols, no, meron tayong tinatawag na line graph, no? So lines ang ginagamit sa line graph. or pwede ring dots. No, pag dugting-dugtungin using the lines. And then we have bar graphs. Of course, the symbols used are bars, all right, either vertical or horizontal. And you have slices for or pies for the circle graph or pie chart. So graphical presentations. Next, number 4. Blank is usually used to show how parts of a whole compare to each other and to the whole. So merong kabuuan and merong parts ng kabuuan. Is it A, bar graph, B, circle graph, or pie chart, C, histogram, or D, line graph? Ano kaya sagot sa ating number 4? So types of graphs, no, graphical presentations ang ating choices. Ayan, hindi ko nakita kanina ang mga sumagot. Sa number 4, ano pong sagot natin? Si Iris May Junson, letter B. Is it for number 4, Iris? Okay, ano yan? Tudora Disagon, DB, circle graph. I think B ang kanyang sagot ni Miss Tudora Disagon. So, tama po ang sagot na circle graph. No? Circle graph is usually used to show how parts of a whole compare to each other and to the whole. Number 5. Blank is a graphical presentation of data that shows a continuous change or trend. It may show an ascending or descending trend. So this is a type of graphical presentation. No? Yan, sabi ni Iris Johnson, yes sir daw. So B. Number 4. So number 5, how about number 5? Ano ang sagot natin sa number 5? It's another type of another type of graphical presentation. But this time, it shows a continuous change or trend. It may show a ascending or descending trend. Pababa, pataas, pataas, pababa. Ayan, sabi ni Tess, Lorenzo, line graph, letter D. At si Iris, number 5, letter D, also line graph. So, tama naman po kayo, line graph ang sagot sa number 5. Okay, ayan. Let's now proceed to, maraming salamat sa nag-participate. So, this time, makinig po na mabuti at atin tatalakayin ang ating topic for this session, that is using statistical techniques in analyzing data. Medyo kailangan ito ng concentration or focus kasi meron tayong mga mathematical formula, no? Mathematical formulas and mathematical operations, no? Statistical operations and formulas. Ayan. Good afternoon, Cedric Jimenez from Mandaing, ES Bukidnon. So what is data analysis? No? What is data analysis? Data analysis aims to gather useful information to find solutions to a set of questions, no, in a research, or questions of interest in a research. Okay, I choose to gather information to find solutions. So that's we're talking about the data analysis planning. Now, data analysis has the following purposes. It describes data sets, no. So once you have presented and you have your data collected, measured using statistical techniques, you'll be able to describe data sets, okay, or the data that you have in your research paper. Then it also determines the degree of relationship of variables, no? Kasi nga kadalasan sa research ay gusto natin malaman ang relationship ng variables, kung meron nga bang significant relationship ang variable sa ating research. And of course, we will know the relationship between variables, no, if we use the various statistical techniques that we will discuss later. Another purpose of data analysis is to determine the differences between variables. So, aside from relationship, data analysis also aims to determine the differences. Meron nga bang pagkakaiba sa mga variables sa ating research study? And of course, to compare variables. Okay? Now, there are three ways to analyze data or strategies. There are three strategies of data analysis. These are exploratory, descriptive, and inferential. No? Let's discuss each one. What do we mean by exploratory? It is used when balik tayo. When it is not clear what to expect from the data. It uses numerical and visual presentations such as graphs. Parang i-present mo lang yung data without actually knowing or wanting to know the relationship of the data or the differences, or you don't want to compare data. You just want to present it. So that's what we call exploratory. Exploratory. And again, walang kinakailangang formula to analyze the data. Kasi titingnan mo lang yung, for example, yung table or graph, and then you can already have your initial analysis or interpretation. So, exploratory ang tawag sa data analysis strategy na yan. Next, another data analysis strategy is descriptive. No? It is used to describe, show, or summarize data in a meaningful way, leading to a simple interpretation of data. So, ito naman, kailangan na ng formula, kailangan na ng computation, using the formula. And commonly used descriptive statistics, are those that analyze the distribution of data such as frequency, percentage, measures of central tendency, and measures of dispersion. Measures of dispersion. And the third type or method of data analysis or strategy is what we call the inferential data analysis. It tests hypotheses about a set of data to reach conclusions or make generalizations beyond merely describing the data. Ito medyo higher level na to sa descriptive data analysis. And some of the inferential statistics include tests of significance of difference, like the t-test and analysis of variance or ANOVA, and tests of relationship like the product moment coefficient of correlation or person R, Sperman Rho, chi-square or chi-square test, and linear regression. So those are examples of inferential data statistics. All right? Yes, good afternoon, Mary Grace Mortejo. Now let's discuss in details the three data analysis strategies later on, no, including their specific types. Now we have first to know the quantitative analysis in evaluation. Okay. We have four quantitative analysis in evaluation. We have what we call the nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, and the ratio scale. So when we say nominal scale of measurement, it is used for labeling variables. No? It is sometimes called categorical data. Like when you say for gender, you have male, female, or religious affiliations, or you have race or ethnic group. No? Nominal scale ang tawag sa quantitative analysis na to. And then we have ordinal scale quantitative analysis of measurement, which assigns order or on items on the characteristics being measured. It involves the ranking of individuals, attitudes, and characteristics. You know, like for example, the order in the honor roll, the order of agreement. No, honor roll we have, for example, first honor, second honor, third honor, etc. And then order of agreement we have strongly agree, strongly disagree. Then you have economic status, for example, low, average, and high economic status. So merong ranking or order. Okay. Next. For interval scale analysis, it has equal units of measurements, thereby making it possible to interpret the order of the scale scores and the distance between them. It does not have a true zero. While ratio scale is considered the highest level of measurement and it has the characteristics of an interval scale, but it has a 0 point. No? All statistical operations can be performed on ratio scales. And when we say all statistical operations, you can add the variables, you can subtract, multiply or divide the variables, and also you can use or apply descriptive and inferential statistics. No, you can get the mean, median, mode, standard deviation, the ANOVA, etc. in a ratio scale quantitative analysis. Yung sa interval scale pala, yun yung mga numerical data with ano tawag ito, with points, no, with decimal points. Okay, but it does not have a true zero. And also interval scale cannot be multiplied or divided. I mean the data, the interval data cannot be multiplied or divided. You can only subtract or add. Okay, now let's go to the discussion of the first descriptive data analysis, no, which is one of the data analysis strategies. So one of the descriptive data analysis types is the measures of central tendency or measures of location or center. It is used to determine the center or middle of a set of data. And there are three ways to determine the center or middle of a set of data. And it is through the mean, the median, and the mode. Yes, good afternoon, Jojo from Waan National High School, and Ruchi from Zamboanga City Division. Now, let's have first mean. What do we mean by mean? Yan. Mean is often called the arithmetic average. It is the sum of the observed values in the distribution divided by the number of observations. It is frequently used for interval or ratio data. The X bar is used to denote the arithmetic mean. So, ayan po ang formula. So, first formula natin ay for the mean, which is X bar, or the mean, is equals to sum of observations divided by the number of observations. Or X bar is equals to sum of observations divided by the number of observations. Here's an example. Nauna yung class. Yan. For example, you have ungrouped data with the following numbers: 18, 26, 27, 29, and 30. No, and 30. So our formula is X bar is equals to the sum of all the data and divided by the number of observation. So you just add all the data. So in our example, it's 130 divided by 5 because we have 5 data. So that's 26. So ganun lang po kadali, no? Ang pagkuha ng mean for ungrouped data. For grouped data, you have X bar, or the mean, is equals to frequency of each class, divided by the total number of observation times class midpoint. Yan. We also have what we call the weighted mean, or the weighted average, which is necessary when you are given 2 or more measurements and you wish to find the mean of all measures combined into one group. And here's the second formula for our weighted mean. So mean, or the X bar, W, and then X, the sum of X over N, where F is the frequency, X is a numerical value or item in a set of data, and N is the number of observations in the data set. Let's have an example here. So find the mean of the heights of 50 senior high school students summarized as below. So there are 50 senior high school students, and their heights are in the first column in inches. The frequency for the heights, and the third column is for the heights times the frequency. The first and the second column, the product of the first and the second column. So for the 56 inches, there were 6 students whose height is 56 inches. There are 15 students whose height is 57, 12 whose height is 58, 8 students whose height is 59, and 5 whose height is 60 inches, 2 students 61 inches, and 2 students 62. So you have the total of the frequency 50. Now, the total of the fx, or the height times frequency, is 2095. Now, if we substitute the data to our formula. So you have, again, the formula is x bar. This is for weighted mean. That's why you have the W. Okay, x bar W equals EFX over N. So our EFX is on the third column at the bottom is 2095 divided by N, which is the total number of our frequency, and that's 50, and 2905 divided by 50 is equals to 58.1 inches. So the weighted mean in our data set is 58.1 inches. So, ibig sabihin, yun yung middle or center ng ating data set, 58.1 inches. No? So, 4 inches ranging from 56 to 62, 58.1 ang center, or specifically the weighted mean. So, that's how you get the weighted mean. Next, here's another example. So, kanina, we talked about the group data. So, ito ang ating example sa group data, no? Using the formula kanina. When the data is grouped into classes, the class midpoint represents the X in the formula. So, meron ka ng class sa data mo, no? Like for example, you have 76 to 80, 71 to 75, 66 to 70, etc. Now the frequency, meaning ilang beses or ilang observations ang meron dun sa specific range or class ng data mo. Like for range of 76 to 80 or class of 76 to 80, there are 3. You know, and then for 71 to 75, there are 5. For 66 to 70, there are 6, and so on. And then you add all the frequencies and you get the total, which is 50 in our example. Now, how did we get the class midpoint or the X? No? The class midpoint or the X sa third column, 78. Simple lang, kaya siya midpoint kasi siya ang pinaka gitna. Like when you when you have 76 to 80, so 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, ang pinaka gitna niya ay 78. So yun yung tinatawag nating class midpoint. 78, 73 for 71 to 75, 68 for 66 to 70, and so on. And then you you multiply the F's or the frequency and the X or the class midpoint. So you have Fx in the last column, and then sum everything, or sum all the Fx, or get the total, and you have 2,965. Now, let's substitute the data. So, you have X bar W equals EFX divided by N. So, you have 2,965 for our EFX, no, sa fourth column, divide by 50 sa ating N. You have 59.3. So 59.3 is the mean in our data set, no? 59.3. Okay. Next, median. So medyo madali ang median. Ang mean, let's now go to median. It is the midpoint of the distribution where 50% of the values fall below that point and 50% fall above it. When the distribution has an even number of observations, the median is the average of the middle scores. The median is the most appropriate measure of central tendency or ordinal data. So if you have an ordinal data, like you have, again, yung nakarank, no? Nakarank na data, then you can use the median. No, the median to measure the central tendency. So, paano natin kukunin ang median? For ungroup data, the median may be calculated from ungroup data by doing the following steps. Arrange the items like scores, responses, observations from lowest to highest. So, arrange from lowest to highest. Kasi nga, ordinal, di ba? Ordinal. Count to the middle value. For an odd number of values arranged from lowest to highest, the median corresponds to value. If an array contains an even number of observations, the median is the average of the two middle values. Let's have the example here. For example, you have 7, 8, 8, 9, 10, 12, 23. So, naka-arrange niya siya from lowest to highest. So, from 7, no, from the left, we will titingnan natin kung alin ang pinakagitna. No? So, 9 ang pinakagitna. So, you have, the median is 9. Another example. This time, even numbers. So, ang gagawin naman, pag even numbers, let's say, for example, you have 12, 15, 18, 22, 30, and 32. Ang gitna, merong 18 at saka 22, even numbers. So, a plus, i-add. So, 18 plus 22 equals 40 divided by 2 equals 20. So, the median is 20. Okay? So, that's how you get the median. Okay, let's have another example. Ayun. Consider these odd numbers of numerical values. 15, 20, 12, 26, 3, 30, and 14. So, we will arrange them from lowest to highest. So, it will become now 3, 12, 14, 15, 20, 26, and 30. So, we have a formula that we can also use to get the median for ungrouped data. No? So, n plus 1 over 2, no? Which is our nth term or data. So, n plus 1 in our example, we have 7, which is the number of our data. We have 7 plus 1, so that will be 8. No? Divide by 2, you have 4th. So, ano ang pang 4th na element, no? Or value? That is 15, the number 15. So, the median is 15. So, that's another way to get the median using this formula. N plus 1 over 2. No? Or getting the nth value, numerical value in your data set. Yun. Okay, next. For group data, medyo mahaba-haba ang computation. No? So, you have L plus I and then times N over 2 minus F over F, the capital F over the small f. So, where L is the exact lower limit of the class containing the median, or what we call the median class. And I is for the interval size. N is the total number of items or observations. F is the cumulative frequency in the class preceding the median class. And F is the frequency of the median class. So, kailangan malaman muna natin yung median class kasi mula doon, malalaman natin kung ano yung cumulative frequency at yung frequency. Okay? Of course, interval size, madali lang siyang kunin at saka yung total number of items or observations or the N. So, example, we have here the following data which shows the distribution of the ages of people interviewed for a survey on a topic about climate change. So you have on the first column for class interval, these are the age range, ano? So yung mayroong age na 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, 51 to 60, and 61 to 70 na age range. Now, the frequency, you have 20, ibig sabihin merong 20 respondents no sa survey mo na ang edad ay between 11 to 20. Merong 40 na 21 to 30, 22 sa 31 to 40, and so on. And you have a total of how many respondents? You have 100 respondents, no, or 100 people interviewed for a survey. Ayan. So since we have a total of 100 respondents, 100 respondents, ang ating median will represent the half or the 50th item, that is the 50th largest value. So 50. So titingnan natin sa ating example, the first two class intervals, two classes, a cumulative frequency of 34 classes, no? So we still need 16 para maging 50. So the median class now is 31 to 40 kasi hindi siya pwede ditong 34 kasi kulang pa ng 50, no? So bababa tayo, so our median class is 31 to 40, no? 31 to 40. Therefore, yan. Our L is 30.5. Our N is 100, the total number of observations or our respondents. Then we have the cumulative frequency of 34, yung kanina, yung naka-encircle, and then you have the frequency of 32, no, which is the frequency of our class interval 31 to ano nga yun kanina, 31 to 35, and our interval is by 10, di ba? Balikan natin kanina. Yan, 31 to 40. Ang interval natin is 11 to 20. So 10, 21 to 30, 10, 31 to 40, 10. So yan, ang frequency natin na 22 is the frequency of our class interval, that is 31 to 40. Now, substitute sa ating formula. So, ayan, 30.5 ang L plus 10 ang interval times 100 ang ang N, divide by 2 minus 34, which is the cumulative frequency, divide by the frequency 22. So you have 30.5 plus 10, 16 over 22, and the answer is 37.77. So what's the interpretation in this particular example? It means that 50% or 50 of the 100 ages will fall below 37.77, and 50% or 50 will fall above it. Okay? So that's our interpretation. Next, so tapos na tayo sa mean, sa median. This time, let's go to the third measure of central tendency. No? Measure of central tendency, which is what we call the mode. No? It is the most frequently occurring value in a set of observations. So, from our definition, no? frequently occurring value, ibig sabihin kung ano yung pinakamarami sa ating data set or set of observations is what we call the mode. Now, in cases where there is more than one observation which is the highest but with equal frequency, the distribution is bimodal or multimodal with more than two highest observations. In cases where every item has an equal number of observations, there is no mode. And the mode is appropriate for nominal data or categorical data. Okay, example. The ages of 15 persons assembled in a room are as follows. Ayan, so 15 persons. An age of 25 is the mode because it has been recorded 3 times in the sample, more than any other age. So, ibig sabihin, 25 yung may pinakamaraming age sa ating set of observation. So, you have 325. Yung iba, 17, dalawa lang. 18, dalawa lang. The rest, tiki-isa lang. 30, dalawa. So, 25 is the mode. Another example, the number of hours spent by 10 students in an internet cafe was as follows. Ayan, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5. And both 2 and 4 have a frequency of 3, so the data is therefore bimodal. No? So, kasi nga, dalawa, 3 and 4 ang mode sa ating data set. Okay? So, madali lang kunin ang measures, ang modal, no? Ang modal sa data set. Now, another type of descriptive data analysis is a measure of dispersion, no? It is the extent of spread or the dispersion of the data. It is also called measures of variability. So, bakit kailangan nating malaman or i-measure, no, ang extent of spread or dispersion of the data? Kasi hindi naman palaging ang data ay merong, hindi lang sa median or sa average natin makukuha or ma-analyze ang interpretation ng data. Pwede rin nating i-analyze kung gaano ka-spread or disperse ang data. Like for example, ang data mo is about the quality of food in your school canteen. So you have your respondents answered 5 for excellent, 4 for very satisfactory, 3 satisfactory, 2 fair, and 1 poor. So yung respondents mo sasagot ng 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No? To get your average rating, so of course, mean, median, mode, no? But sometimes you also want to know how close the ratings are given by the students. So the ratings cluster around the middle point of 3, or are the ratings spread or dispersed, no? With some students giving a rating of 1 and the rest giving ratings of 5. So hindi palaging focus lang tayo sa average. No, titingnan din natin yung gaano kalayo mula sa gitna yung ating data sets. All right? Gaano karami ang answer ng 1, ng 5, etc. So malalaman yan sa measures of dispersion. And the measures to be considered in measures of dispersion are the range, the average of mean deviation, the standard deviation, and of course the variance. So merong apat na measures of dispersion. Next, let's start with our average mean or deviation. Wait lang ha. Ayan. Average mean deviation is defined as the absolute difference or deviation between the values in a set of data and the mean divided by the total number of values in the set of data. So our formula for ungrouped data is average deviation is equals to the sum of x minus x bar or the mean divided by n. For example, you have a set of values which consists of 20, 25, 35, 40, and 45. So first, we'll get the mean. So we just add all the values divided by the number of values or observations. We have 20 plus 35 plus 35 plus 40 plus 45 divided by 5. So the mean is 33. Now, let's find the average deviation. So meron na tayong mean, no, which is 33. So substitute our formula kanina. So standard deviation, or sorry, average deviation, I mean. Average deviation, you have 20 minus 33 plus 25 minus 33 plus 35 minus 33 plus 40 minus 33 plus 45 minus 33. So you get the answers for the above operations, then divide by 5. So for 20 minus 33, you have negative 13 plus that should be negative 8. Sorry, negative 8 lang siya dapat, walang 2. No? Plus 2 plus 7 plus 12. Okay? So you have 13 plus 8 plus 7 plus 12 divided by 5 equals 42 divided by 5. The answer is 8.4. 8.4. All right. So that's how you get the average deviation. Standard deviation is a measure of the spread or variation of data about the mean. Standard deviation is computed by calculating the average distance that the average value is from the mean. For the ungrouped data, the formula is standard deviation or SD equals to the square root of the sum of x minus x bar or the mean squared over n minus 1. Okay, so let's have an example. This is for ungrouped data. Consider a set of values which consists of 6, 10, 12, 15, 18, 18, 20, 23, 25, 28. So we solve for the mean. We just add all the values, divide by how many? Divide the number of values, divide by 10. So 175. Divide by 10, you have 17.5. That will be our mean. Next, subtract the mean from each score. So yun na yung sa ating second column. So our score is first score 6 minus 17.5, which is the mean. That will be negative 11.5. Second score is 10 minus the mean, 17.5. equals negative 7.5 and so on. Next, step 3, square each difference from step 2. So, nakuha na natin yung difference, no? Sa second column, so i-square natin yung difference. So, negative 11.5 squared is 132.25. Negative 7.5 squared is 56.25. Negative 5.5 squared is 30.25 and so on. And then we get the total of the third of all the values in the third column. So we get 434.5. Okay? Next, step 5, divide the number in step 4 by n minus 1. So, kanina, yung sa last column, doon sa pinakababa, no? So, i-divide natin sa n minus 1, wherein n is 10 minus 1. So, that will be 9. So, 434.5 divided by 9 equals 48.278 to square root is 6.948 or 6.95 is the standard deviation. Okay. So those are the different measures of dispersion. No? Again, we have the range, the average mean, and the standard deviation. Now, ang range pala, nawala kanina sa aking PowerPoint, is the difference between the largest and the smallest values in a set of data. So, difference, ima-minus mo lang yung yung highest score from the lowest score. So, for example, kanina you have 6, 10, 12, 15, 18, 18, 20, 23, 25, 28. So, 28 is the highest minus the lowest score or value, 20, which is 6. So, 28 minus 6, the range is 22. So, that's how you get the range. Again, the difference between the largest and the smallest values in a set of data is what we call the range, or how we get the range. All right. Now, the third strategy of data analysis is inferential. Ito medyo complicated siya at kailangan talaga ng formula at kailangan mong maintindihan ang formula, no? At siguro mas maiging ipaibaya ito sa isang statistician or mathematician. Nevertheless, we will talk about what are these inferential data analysis. Hindi ko na sinama yung mga formula kasi medyo complicated, no? Medyo complicated, hindi kaya sa ating time. So, one of the inferential data analysis type is a test of significance of difference, or the t-test. The test of significance of difference may be between means or between proportions or percentages. And could be for the test of significance between means, could be for independent samples, like that is when the respondents consist of two different groups such as boys and girls, working mothers and non-working mothers, no? So, and etc. And then you can also do the test of significance between means for correlated or dependent samples. That is when the same set of respondents or paired sets of respondents are involved. Also, you can do tests of significance between proportions or percentages. No? Also, for independent samples and for correlated or dependent samples. Another inferential statistics is the analysis of variance or ANOVA. It is used when significance of difference of means of two or more groups are to be determined at one time. And the most one of the common ANOVA is the one-way ANOVA. And here we have a typical ANOVA table, where you get um, the different values, no? Like for uh, between groups, you get the degree of freedom, the sum of squares, the mean square, the F ratio, or the cumulative frequency, and you have the raw value, RHO value, or the raw value. And then within groups, the same um, values. And also you get the total. Another test of in an inferential statistic, no, aside from test of significance or difference, is the tests of relationship, no? Kung meron nga bang relationship, meron bang significant relationship, wala, no? So kanina meron bang difference sa variables. This time, if you want to test the relationship of variables, you can do the following tests or measurements. One is Spearman rank order correlation, or the Spearman law, which evaluates the relationship between two sets of ranked or ordinal values. Another test of relationship is the chi-square or chi-square test for independence, which is used when data are expressed in terms of frequencies or percentages, or our nominal variable. It is frequently used when seeking opinions of respondents for a research study. So if you want to, if your data gathering is through survey seeking opinion of respondents, no, you can use the chi-square or chi-square test. Next, another test of relationship is the product moment correlation coefficient, or the person R. It is used when data are expressed in terms of scores such as weights and heights, or scores in a test, no? So meaning your data are ratio or interval data. It evaluates the linear relationship between two continuous variables. So yun nga, ratio or interval variables. T-test is to test the T-test to test the significance of person R is used to determine if the value of the computed coefficient of correlation is significant. So if you get the person R, you will also get the T-test to test the significance of the person R. Sorry, the person R here should be with A. P-A-R-S-O-N. Okay, next. And the last test of relationship, no, in an inferential data analysis is what we call the simple linear regression analysis, which involves the identification of the relationship between a dependent variable called the predictor variable and one or more independent variable. This statistical measure is used for prediction purposes. And there you go. Our different techniques in data analysis, no? Again, we have this exploratory data analysis, descriptive data analysis, and inferential data analysis. So I hope you have learned something from our discussion this afternoon, no? And please try to evaluate what you have learned, no? What have you realized? What are your insights so far about the different statistical techniques in analyzing data, no? Take a look back and remember the things you learned. You may write this down, or just, do some self assessment or evaluation. All right, and For your assessment, final assessment, so use the most appropriate statistical techniques to analyze the data you collected for your own research project. Of course, your technique will depend on your data that you collected, your variables, and your research questions, no, research questions or problem. All right, so again, you can choose from any of the statistical techniques we discussed earlier. You can either use descriptive uh, analysis, data analysis, like our like the measures of central tendency, the mean, median, mode, and the measures of dispersion, like the range, the average deviation, standard deviation, or you can also use the inferential statistics using, of course, a different tests. You can do this manually, or if you have the SPSS, no? Or yung anong tawag nito? Yung package sa statistical, I forgot the meaning of SPSS. So it's a software where you can use where you can compute the different inferential statistics, no? So madali na lang siya kasi automatic nang bibigay sa yung answer without even without the formula. So kung manual, of course you need the formula. Okay? Ayan, good afternoon, Ruchi, and good afternoon, Lisa. Thank you, sabi ni Ruchi. Thank you too. And this is my reference for my presentation. Again, the book by Prieto, Naval, and Carey, published in 2017 by Lorimal Publishing Incorporated. The book is titled Practical Research 2 for Senior High School. And with that, I say thank you. Maraming salamat at magkita-kita muli tayo next week. No, sa ating week 7, malapit na tayong matapos sa ating Senior High School Practical 2 online tutorial. Marami pong salamat muli, magandang hapon. At now streaming sa Facebook, no, maaari kayong lumipat sa Statistics and Probability by Tutor Reverie. Marami pong salamat, and again, see you next week. God bless. Yes, God bless you, Ruchi. Thank you. Thank you, Shalene Nakabal.
Sigurado ako na marami ka na namang natutuhan sa ating ETUlay tutorial session ngayong araw. Tandaan, ito ay hindi lamang para sa ating mga mag-aaral, kundi pati rin sa ating mga minamahal na guro at mga magulang na kaagapay natin para maituloy ang pagkatuto sa kabila ng nararanasang pandemya. Patuloy ding sumubaybay sa DepEd TV para sa mga araling ginawang video episodes. Mapapanood ito mula Lunes hanggang Sabado, alas 7 ng umaga hanggang alas 7 ng gabi sa inyong mga telebisyon. Abangan sa Lunes mula 1:00 ng tanghali ang iba pang aralin sa ating ETUlay free online tutorial session sa Science. I-like and subscribe at manatiling nakasubaybay sa ating ETUlay tutorial session sa DepEd Edtech Unit FB page at Educational Technology Unit channel sa YouTube at sa DepEd Tayo at DepEd Philippines social media accounts. Paalam!